Hello, hello. This is the 195th Test from the Future, an experimental podcast from the year 2225, which we are sending from our present to yours. My name is Dirk.
And my name is Simon.
And we're putting the past a podcast. I was a little surprised, but it's indeed 2225.
It is.
5 whole days and I was already getting all confused.
Yep, exactly. We're in the new year now.
Yes, good old 2224. Are you going to miss it?
It's long gone now. I don't even remember it.
Yeah, good memories.
Sure. Lots of good ones in there.
Yeah, but 2225, which means our episodes are going back to 2025.
Indeed.
So to our listeners, Happy New Year.
Right. To our listeners as well.
Yeah. And then there's 2 more New Years coming before
they reach up. Though we started this podcast in 2221, so only 196 years for them to go until they catch up with us.
True, actually. Hang on there. Yeah, at one point it's going to overlap.
Exactly. We keep going long enough. Well,
exactly. You're going to be, maybe you can then, crash a recording session, be in the recording, and then retroactively you will hear yourself. Is this how it works?
That could be how it works if people live that long. So far, even we don't live that long. So.
No. Okay, cool. That's for some future generation to worry about.
Yeah, maybe if there's some other way to travel in time or something.
Definitely. Okay, this week we actually speak about something that happened at the end of last week's episode.
Right, we had a surprise guest.
We had a surprise guest, exactly. Not on air, but off air. Exactly. Not in room, but off room.
Yep, exactly. Yep. Just as we were wrapping up what was going on with the uranium lamp.
Yes.
We spotted someone on the balcony.
Somebody on the balcony.
Which is unusual because pretty high up.
Yes, exactly. 16th floor. What's somebody doing on the balcony? Especially in the evening, especially at your place.
Right. I was not expecting anyone.
Exactly. It's not their balcony, it's your balcony. So this was Moustarrow.
Exactly. Nice surprise, a big surprise. So a nice surprise and a big surprise.
Yes.
I've never met them before. So.
No, exactly. A celebrity. Huh?
Yeah. And we did ask if they wanted to be on the show. They were like, no, I want to maintain my anonymity. My secret identity. Yeah. Don't want my voice being recorded and then, someone being able to recognize it. Okay, so we got to speak with them a lot. It was a very interesting conversation. And hey, now we'll regale our listeners with tidbits from them.
And it's interesting for somebody who wants to maintain their secret identity. They were quite talkative.
True.
Yeah.
True. So once they were clear that, they weren't wanting to be recorded, they were very forthcoming.
Yeah. Who is Moustarrow?
They have a superhero.
Yes. Superhero.
Real life, genuine superhero here in the year 2225.
We have superheroes.
Not so many of them, but yes, we have them.
But unfortunately, they didn't have any actual superpowers.
Sure, but that makes them a little bit more super,
Yeah.
They're doing all these crazy things, which we'll go into in a moment, but not because they have magically got those powers somehow, but rather through the judicious application of technology.
And we have a lot of technology.
We do. If
you cleverly combine all the technology that we have, then you can do, apparently, all kinds of amazing things. Just imagine the superheroes that were around in the 21st century, what they could do with the technology in the 21st century. And now imagine that 200 years later.
Right. Like 200 years ago, they could speak to people on the other side of the planet.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive. But sure, now they can also fly around.
And they had cars with wheels on roads that could go really fast sometimes.
Yep.
So speak to somebody on the other side of the planet, drive your car around. You were already a superhero with those powers. Now imagine 200 years of evolution, superhero evolution. Yeah. So they're kind of a celebrity.
Right. They're not the person themselves, because as we said, they keep their true identity secret, but in their persona of Moustarrow, they're very famous.
And all we know in their everyday life, they were a barista or a city council member or,
we don't know.
Person of leisure. We don't know. So we did speak quite a bit about all the technology that they were using. And we also spoke quite a bit about, what actual crimes are you dealing with or what kind of issues are you dealing with?
Because we're asking them these kinds of things.
Because we don't have so much crimes happening anymore. But whatever is left, they deal with this.
Yeah. They were saying like a lot of what they do and a lot of what they enjoy is actually helping animals get out of trees. Like animals that shouldn't be in trees, like squirrels, they're all good. But cats, goats, they tend to not, they shouldn't be in trees usually. Penguins, definitely not. And so Moustarrow helps them down.
Apparently there's quite a few animals in trees that don't belong there.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I mean, we live in a society where everything and everybody hovers. Mm-hmm. So...
Right. It's easier to get up there than it used to be, up in trees, I mean.
Even for animals.
Mm-hmm. I was wondering, I did ask Moustarrow last week, is there maybe a group of people going around putting animals up in trees? And they said, no, I mean, at least they've seen no evidence of that.
On the other hand, apparently there's a lot of data saying how many goats a year get on a hoverboard accidentally and fly off and then, land in trees. That's not something I've ever seen, but apparently it happens.
Sure.
And not just with goats, but
penguins,
turkeys.
Yeah.
And then they were also saying that everything that is in trees, they keep in trees. Like squirrels, like you were saying before, because as they were full of anecdotes, and they did rescue a squirrel once.
Right, a squirrel that was on the ground, that had lost its way and didn't know how to get back in the tree. Is that what you mean?
No, there was that story. Is also actually nice. Another one where they did actually rescue a squirrel from the tree. Didn't need rescue. And the squirrel got pretty upset.
Yeah, right. Back when they were still like finding their way as a superhero.
Yeah. Yeah, but before we get in some of the details that they told us, maybe we describe how they look.
Yeah, let's paint a word picture for our listeners.
Yes, exactly.
Describe in using words what they look like.
Because in everyday life, we can't really identify them. But
they wear a costume.
And that is very recognizable.
Yeah, distinctive. Let's describe it. So, peaked cap, first of all. Big purple mustache, from where they get their name. A very short white cape. And we asked, like, why is it so short? And they explained, long capes get in the way.
Yeah, they're
tangled around their legs and so on.
Especially when you fly around, I guess,
Yeah, the wind whipping it all over the place.
Up, down, maybe some brisk moves, then,
Exactly. But then, in addition to the cape, very bulky clothing.
Yeah.
And it was so bulky, like you couldn't really make out their figure, is this a muscly person, a skinny person? You can't really tell because the clothing is so baggy.
That's pretty smart.
It's a way to conceal their identity.
If you can't identify the figure, and then if they're walking around in their normal clothing,
like shorts
then
and a t-shirt, you'd be able to see. And So this isn't really part of their clothing, but they also carried across their back a bow for shooting arrows. Again, from where their name comes. And it was purple.
Yes.
To match their mustache, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, and speaking of mustaches, the arrows themselves, if you can imagine the arrow tip, I think it's called, the pointy part. Imagine that as like a nose.
Yeah.
Okay, and then at the base of the nose is a teeny little mustache.
Yeah.
Nice little detail there.
I like it that they used basically two colors, right? So most of it was white.
Yep, with purple.
Mustache was purple.
Exactly.
Bow and the arrows were purple. And
their boots.
Yes, right. They had these platform shoes.
Platform shoes. Big purple ones.
Yeah. So imagine this in your head.
That's purple belt. Tie it all together.
True. Let's not forget the purple belt. Looked quite impressive.
Very much so.
And that's also how we recognized them relatively quickly.
Right. Initially, it was a silhouette because our eyes were not quite seeing them, but then we switched off the lights again in here, and then we could see them better.
Yeah. So why were they here again?
Right. They had detected a surge in radiation.
All right. Yeah.
That was it. They were doing their patrols, and then their equipment, they detected this radiation surge. They wanted to come by, check everything was okay.
We guess it was the uranium lamp, right?
Most likely, yeah. So, and then they checked the lamp and said, it'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Yeah, so there wasn't, in the end, there was no emergency for them to deal with, but then we had the opportunity to talk with them.
Yeah, and they were, what I liked is that they were quite enthusiastic about their own gadgets.
Yeah.
Because, their main thing is shooting these mustache arrows, Moustarrows, I guess.
Yeah.
But they had different other gadgets, and because they were building them themselves, they were quite enthusiastic about, see how I combine this with that, and then this does this, and so on. Remember the platform shoes that they had jets in them?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And I've seen this in pants, and I've seen this in other shoes as well.
Yeah.
But these were basically in all directions. So not just up.
Right, but they could also go side to side.
Yeah, exactly.
Very maneuverable.
Yeah, that was quite impressive. They were showing all kinds of stuff. I'm trying to remember some of the things that they showed.
Well, they were showing us something they're still developing. So they haven't actually been using it in public yet. But they said how they're working out like the last details, and it should be ready soon. Basically, spaghetti shooters. I'm doing a gesture with my wrist, which our listeners can't see. But the idea is they flex their wrists like backwards. Backwards, I don't know. They lift their hand up, and from their wrist shoots forth spaghetti.
Yeah.
Covered in tomato sauce.
Yeah, with sauce. Yeah, right.
Not tomato sauce like ketchup, but like pasta sauce. And the idea is that the spaghetti itself is has a very high tensile strength, and then the sauce is very sticky, so they can use this to like swing from building to building.
I remember they were still working on a way for the sauce to not make stains on their white costume.
That was something that's a bit tricky. And they did mention they're considering changing the color of their costume, but that feels like a bit of a cheap way out. So really, they'd rather work out a way for it to not stain in the first place.
And also, if they make the costume red, but then with purple...
Wouldn't look so good.
No, it wouldn't look so good.
Maybe flip it, mostly purple with just white highlights.
Yeah.
Could work.
White mustache.
Yep.
Could work, actually.
But still, they want to see if they can develop it so that there is no stainage. That's their preference.
What I thought was funny is when I asked about the belt, if the belt had any cool gadgets, to find out the belt was painted on. That was
exactly for the look, to tie it together.
It wasn't an actual belt.
Oh. Just part of the costume. It's like exactly not a separate piece, but basically part of the costume.
It was basically, I was wondering, hey, what else can the belt do than
Right,
keep your clothes together? And couldn't even do that because it wasn't actually that.
Yeah,
it's like an anti-gadget. So they were telling all kinds of stories, right? And what I thought was quite interesting is they were initially not called Moustarrow.
Right, no, they had another name.
A German name, yeah. There was the same name, but then in German. They were a German superhero. Schnurrpfeil.
Yeah, and I mean, they still are a German superhero, but they changed their name so that it would be more recognizable around the world.
Because they became more known, more famous.
Yeah, and Schnurrpfeil, I mean, it means stuff in German, of course, but not so much in English.
I think in German, it's still I think for a German, Schnurrpfeil still sounds kind of cool, like, look at there, Schnurrpfeil is flying by. It still sounds kind of cool, but it apparently was relatively hard to pronounce in other countries.
Yeah.
And Moustarrow.
At least based on the spelling, yeah.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. But Moustarrow really rolls off the tongue in any language, apparently.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just know them as Moustarrow. I didn't know they were Schnurrpfeil before.
No. That was right when they started, and then pretty quickly they changed to Moustarrow.
What I remember too is like they were saying all the things that they were helping people with.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah. We mentioned the animals in trees. Radiation, leaks. And also, I think they mentioned this is like maybe 20% of what they do is helping people take out huge, bulky, like rubbish, stuff they don't want anymore, like to put on the side of the street, for Sperrmülltag. They help them take that stuff out. It's very considerate of them.
It's also, I would have never guessed that was also done so much. The same thing with like...
You can imagine like once in a while someone's got like a big antique piano or something, grand piano. But no, also just any old stuff.
Any bulky trash. Yeah, very interesting. And of course, like anything you do to help somebody else out, they're going to be happy. Right. You don't have to like solve the most amazing crime or capture the most amazing criminal. You can just like there's a lot more people that need to take out bulky trash than there are big criminals to be caught. Right?
Exactly, and it provides like obviously it's helping. They're helping people out.
Yeah.
and then the people feel relieved. Yeah, like, hey, that thing that was filling up my basement the last several years, it's gone. That's a big relief, weight off my mind. And then that's linked with Moustarrow.
As also, if you want to build up an audience, it helps a whole lot more if you help a whole bunch of people.
Yeah,
than just
right. They have actual personal experience, fond memories of you, rather than just reading about you.
Exactly. I'm trying to remember now because they were telling so many funny stories. Remember the one where they were talking about why they actually have white clothing? There's a reason behind that. Remember this?
Right. It's not just because it looks cool. It was a practical thing. I do remember. Shall I say? Or
Yeah.
Yeah. So they weren't clear if it was still the case, but they said basically when they started out, they really had a problem with dandruff. And that was basically because and that's why they wear the white cape, yeah? It doesn't show up against anything else, hides the dandruff. But the funnier thing was that they were saying they had dandruff, because who even has dandruff anymore? You know, we all have cyborg chips.
Yeah.
Okay, but their cyborg chip was working so hard on all the superhero stuff they wanted to do, didn't have enough processing power left over to handle dandruff.
Yeah.
So that's why a white cape, which, you know, in their position, I would have maybe just eased back a little, given the cyborg chip just enough processing power that it could handle the dandruff. That seems easier than wearing a cape. I guess they wanted the cape also as part of the costume.
I also think that ease back a little. So they didn't strike me as a person that easily eases back a little. And they were...
Right. They were pretty passionate about what they do.
Definitely, yeah. Mozart is throwing a Moustarrow party.
I mean, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
When is it?
It's a couple of weeks, but it's on the moon.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe she spends most of her time there now. So that's why she sent the invitation so early. So because people still need to organize transport. But I'm just imagining, like, if she rented one of these cubes that are a little bit outside, that, you know, the transparent ones, I can just imagine everybody coming dressed up like Moustarrow on the moon in one of these domes.
That would look pretty impressive.
I think so, yeah. I'm thinking of going.
Yeah. And so wait, so everyone has to dress up as Moustarrow, or that's just the general theme?
She never makes it mandatory.
Oh, okay.
But
is it advised? Would she like?
She encourages everybody to dress up. Yes.
Okay. I guess you could also dress up as one of the arrows.
Good point. Yeah. Or maybe like a competing superhero.
Or that.
Yeah.
Moustarrow doesn't really have any competition, or at least not really any competition worth speaking of. But
if you're like a true passionate person, you could dress up like Schnurrpfeil. You know, it's like
the original,
like a retro costume. You know, when he didn't have a painted on belt or whatever. However they.
Before the dandruff cape was a necessity. Before they started pushing themselves so hard.
Yeah. So, one thing I was thinking all this time when they were telling us these things. They were very candid about everything, right?
Right. It was refreshing. It was nice, but I was a little surprised.
Yeah, because
especially that detail about the dandruff.
Especially because they are so, like, they didn't want to be recorded on air, but then they were still happy to tell all kinds of things.
Yeah.
So I have to admit that all this time I was wondering, is any of this actually true, or were they just telling us
misdirection, maybe?
Yeah.
Guys thinking they're one way, but actually they're another.
And now we think we know all kinds of things, and we spread this word.
Yeah,
at least to the 21st century people. But maybe the next interview they gave on the next balcony, they were telling all kinds of other things.
Maybe.
This will forever remain a mystery.
Well, as you say, maybe they give some other interviews at some point, and we can compare what they say there versus what we know.
Yeah.
But a mystery for now.
Okay. I would say Moustarrow, check.
Yeah, for now. Shall we check out some listener questions?
Yeah.
Okie dokie. We looked through these a couple of days ago. I picked out a question, so let me read it. So, Jakub asks, have you seen any kangaroos lately? They sound amazing. So, thank you, Jakub.
Yeah, and they do sound amazing.
But
I haven't seen much of them lately.
Not lately, no. I mean, maybe because it's winter.
Yeah,
that could be why.
Fair enough.
But especially Skyline Park is where you used to be able to spot a lot. But lately, have you been seeing what I've been seeing there?
You're talking about the hippopotamox.
Exactly, hippopotamox. There's been loads of those.
Yeah, more and more recently.
Yeah.
I guess the park is more and more healthy or so. I don't know. But apparently hippopotamox are just really in environments that are really nutritional.
Yeah.
So, more and more have been coming here.
Yep.
Just for the listeners, there's a crossover between a hedgehog and a hippopotamus.
Well, a hippopotamus and a hedgehog, yeah. Though I did realise the name. Like, it makes sense when you know that, hippopotamog.
Yeah.
I did realise, though, hog is just another word for pig as well. Yeah. So, if you just hear it, you maybe think, okay, so it's a hippopotamus mixed with a pig.
Yeah.
No, it's a hippopotamus mixed with a hedgehog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's also, in Dutch, the thing is called nijlpegel.
Maybe it is, yeah.
Which is the Dutch word for hippopotamus and the Dutch word for hedgehog combined.
Yeah, that's clever then.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Apparently most of the languages have it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice listener question.
Yeah.
But I brought one more.
Oh, okay.
I got a listener question from Nathaniel.
So wait, was this one I saw as well, or?
No,
okay.
No, I'm archived it.
Ah, okay.
Because it was just directed to me.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay, cool.
I will still read it.
Yep.
So Nathaniel says, hey Dirk, I've been carefully listening to the last few episodes, and I think Simon is secretly time traveling. Can you ask him about that? On air, please. So
I see why it's addressed directly to you.
Yes, so Nathaniel is presuming you're secretly time traveling. Is that true, Simon?
I wouldn't go so far as to describe it as secret, but yeah, I've definitely been time traveling. I've been using... Yeah, I think some time ago a listener suggested connecting the low-fidelity wave burner to a teleporter, seeing what happens. So I tried that. Works perfectly.
What?
It's really good stuff. So yeah, I've been traveling in time for quite a while now.
What?
It's been enjoyable. I've seen things that you wouldn't imagine.
You've been actually time traveling?
Yep.
What?
Yep. I was... Well, now I'm telling you about it now. I was meaning to tell you about it for a while, but Nathaniel's email, that seemed like a good opportunity. So thank you, Nathaniel. Is it Nathaniel or Nathaniel? Nate. Thanks, Nate.
You've been actually time traveling?
Yep. I can tell you all about it if you like.
Yes, please.
Okay. Now, on air, or?
Now, I would say immediately afterwards.
Okay. So shall we wrap up the episode?
Yes.
Okay, so folk in the past, where I totally have been recently, if you'd like to send us an email, please do so by sending it to michaellasagna5@gmail.com. Put the number 195 in the subject line so that we know this episode went back in time. And that's important to us because otherwise we don't know that these actually get back there, even though I go back there. But it's all good.
What? You've actually been time traveling?
So maybe I say the stuff. See you all in 200 years. Bye-bye.